All right, everyone. Thanks for signing on. We've got a couple more minutes before we start. Bobby, I'm going to bring you up to panelist if this works. There we go. And I'm actually going to just go close my door. How's it going, Bobby?
I am doing well. How are you?
Good. All right, I'm going to share this and see if it works today. Had a little bit of trouble last time with my Zoom and my screen presenting. So we want screen 2. And then, okay.
Nailed it.
That looks normal today. All right, we're off to a great start. Here we go. We just had another cash offer that was accepted last night. I'm psyched about. So we've got some great traction with all this. It'll be awesome to share. All right, so I'm going to start our recording back up in a second here, and then we'll dive into our presentation. It lets me restart my recording. Okay, awesome. Welcome everybody to our HMA Edge presentation here today as a part of our Applied Mortgage team's Strategies for Success. We offer these webinars periodically, and we thought this one was really important to share with everybody today and make sure that you're all up to date on tools that we have to really help our agents, both with listings and with buyers. And we're going to run through a few different options today, which is our Platinum Pre-Approval program, which really just means we fully underwrite the buyer's information before they go out and search, so their pre-approval is that much stronger. We'll also talk about a partnership that we have for a service where we can turn buyers into cash buyers. So that really helps on the buying side of things. We've also got a great opportunity for people who need to buy before they sell another house. So this can be really instrumental, especially at listing meetings when somebody has a house to sell and you're trying to figure out, do they do a bridge? How do they have the strategy set up? Do they need a contingency to sell in order to buy? That makes things trickier. This lets us eliminate that contingency. And these can actually all be combined together for kind of the ultimate experience if needed. So Bob's really going to lead us through all of this. And I'm psyched to be able to bring this service out to our agents and really be able to get people the best strategy in this market, especially if we see rates continue to come down. And it may just mean more buyers in the market with little inventory already, could just increase the competitiveness. So we want to get ahead of that. Bobby, tell us about our Platinum Pre-Approval process.
Yeah, so our Platinum Pre-Approval process is really great in that it doesn't take any more effort on the buyer's part. So because the way we pre-approve people anyways is we get a full application and we collect all their documentation. So that's basically the standard pre-approval that's out there in the marketplace. It's actually better than the standard one because a lot of people don't even collect all the information. But we take it a step further and we give it all to the underwriter that will be making the final decision, and they review it all so that we know that everything with the buyer that could be questioned by the underwriter is, questioned at the time of pre-approval and it's dealt with. So we then are able to give you a pre-approval that we call our platinum pre-approval that's fully underwritten. Now, other lenders do stuff like that. Not all of them and not as many as should. But what really sets ours apart for certain eligible borrowers based off of some loan criteria is we put our money where our mouth is, and we actually provide an additional certificate that's a $2,500 guarantee. So if you're ever making an offer out there and they're looking at lenders, and we're known in our areas and things like that, but still, not all the sellers understand. And when the listing agent can go, well, listen, like I'm confident in this pre-approval because the company's offering to pay $2,500 if they screwed it up. And nobody else does that I've seen. So we're really putting our money where our mouth is with that.
Yeah, it's so helpful too when listing agents call us, like you said, because oftentimes, as y'all should, you'll call us and verify a buyer's pre-approval. So that makes it extra strong. So when somebody has this platinum pre-approval done, that's one way to heighten them, to make them more competitive. Now, talk to me about our cash buyer partnership. We love this.
Yeah, so we have a partnership with the third party, and once a buyer is platinum pre-approved, it doesn't cost anything, and we register them for our cash buyer program. And we just refer to it as a tool in their toolbox. They can use it if they want to, but they don't have to use it. It only costs them, there's a one-time fee if they do use it of $499, and that's paid at closing of the new house. So when I say if they choose to use it, I mean if they're using it to get their offer accepted, because what happens is we then become a third party to the transaction in the background. So it's just like a normal transaction with a mortgage buyer, except we're standing behind the buyer and we're telling the seller if something happens with this buyer's financing, which it won't because we platinum pre-approved them, but if something did happen, we're going to close on this with cash under the same terms, at the same time frame and everything. So it really gives the seller the confidence that it's like, okay, this is going to close on this day at this price. And we do that platinum pre-approval up front, so we know that there's going to be no issues outside of potential, obviously, like title issues or something like that. If there's title issues, whether it's a cash deal or not, like that's not gonna close. So it levels the playing field. And what's great about this program is 47% of people that make an offer with it have their offer accepted on the first time. That's
That's huge.
that's huge. And
We have
like
people out there that have been searching, right, for years
Yeah.
without this program. This is a game changer.
And we see it all the time. I mean, we deal with this a lot with first-time home buyers, and we register them for the product. And it's a little bit, they're all new to it, so they're feeling everything out. And like we just kind of counsel them through the process. And my first one of these that I had in the cash buyer program, the people had made 8 offers, and we're getting fed up. First offer with the cash buyer program, I think there were 2 offers that were more than $10,000 higher than theirs, and their offer won, and they were only 5% down. So this wasn't like, oh, they're like 50% down, blah, blah, blah. It was a 5% down, mortgage buyer, but because of this, they had their offer accepted. So it's great. It's a simple, easy process. And like I said, we register for it, put the tool in the toolbox, and then we use it when they're ready.
Awesome. And again, Bobby already went over kind of just how simple the process is. We want to complete that fully underwritten pre-approval first. And then that way, when they're out shopping, we've already got them registered for our cash buyer program. When they're ready to make an offer, just let us know. And then we'll do all the steps needed to get that addendum that goes with the offer agreement that verifies that they are backed cash. So,
and we can talk more about, reach out to us and we'll talk to you more about like the process of submitting offer, because we do check the value of the property and things like that. So I don't want to get like bogged down in all those details right now, but we, talk to us about it and we'll go over what that process is.
Awesome. So switching gears a little bit, that was more on the just kind of strictly buyer side, getting them to be the most competitive from our standard pre-approval to the fully underwritten, and then potentially taking the fully underwritten and using the cash back program. If somebody also has a house that they have to sell, and that's creating a challenge because, you know, they don't want the contingency mixed in to everything. We also have this great service, which we branded as our on deck offer program. It really just means figuring out how you can buy before you sell.
Yep. So what we basically do here is we'll come in with our partner, and we'll make what's called a bona fide offer, on the house that needs to be sold. And once that's a contingent-free offer, it's a cash offer. And Fannie and Freddie have guidelines in there that says if you have a non-contingent offer on the house that you're departing, then we do not need to count the debt, which would be the principal and interest, taxes, insurance, on that particular property to qualify for the new one. So a lot of people have trouble qualifying with two mortgage payments, and it knocks them out. So by making the bona fide offer, we can go ahead and remove that debt from the new loan that we're having, and it helps them qualify. Um, there are other programs out there. We used to have them that we used to use, and the cost on this one is it's ridiculously less than the other ones. We used to have one that's a really popular one out there that was 2% of like the sales price on the departing home plus $2,000. So if it's a $500,000 property, 2% of that is 10 grand plus another 2,000. You're talking about $12,000, to use it, which in certain situations it's money well spent. But this is $999. And again, it's paid at closing on the new purchase. So listen, full discrepancy, you're not going to want to take that offer that we're going to be giving you. It's roughly 80 to 85% of what the market value of the house is. The point of it isn't you're not selling it. We're not buying the house. We don't want to be buying it. But it is a real offer. So it allows for us to remove that contingency. Now, what happens is once we close on the new purchase, you as the real estate agent has 6 months to sell that departing residence on the open market. So it's not for every property. You're not going to use it for a house that, is in terrible condition, that might be hard to sell, or that's really unique, that might be hard to sell. So you as the agent need to be confident that you're going to be able to sell the house, within that 6-month time frame on the open market. Because if you don't, then that it has to be a real offer. Like this isn't mortgage fraud, it's a real offer on the house. But there's a 6-month window where you can sell it at a higher price, which is what the ideal thing would be. So, Lindsay mentioned like when you're in a listing appointment, this is something that can be powerful to bring up because you can separate yourself as an agent and you're not just, oh, I'm going to market your house like this. I'm going to just sell it. I'm going to be able to put it on the market for, this price. Every agent's doing that, right? You're looking at their entire situation, and you're saying, how can we strategize and how can I use my partners to strategize to make your dreams come true, basically? Like, how can we make this happen for you? Funny enough, I was in a meeting with an agent today and we were talking about this, and she was like, oh, I got a perfect client this might be for. And she has a listing that she's talking about, and they have to sell to buy, and they're not looking at listing until the spring. And why that's a great time frame is because, okay, let's talk about it now. Let's see what that offer would be here. And we can then put tools in place, because what this doesn't do on its own is get equity from that house to use as a down payment. So it's like, okay, what can we do then in the meantime to help get equity from that house? And one of the strategies would be like, we can get an equity line on the house, that they're departing. But it's important that we look at the on-deck offer before that, because if we get too big of an equity line, then it's going to kick us out of the on-deck offer. So we strategize all these things, and then we can look at using the equity line for two things. One, down payment money on the new house, but then also money available, because they're going to have two mortgage payments potentially for a period of time. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of them and that they're set up for success to be able to make the mortgage payments on their, current home and on their new home. So, there's all sorts of things that we can do. We'll talk to people about 401k loans, to maybe get deposit money if there's not room for a HELOC on it. And we can then pay off that, 401k loan with the proceeds of the house. We can look at putting them in mortgage programs where we can do recasts. So I'm bringing this all up because there can be a lot of strategy and it's not overwhelming at all. It's exciting because there's so many tools that we can potentially use for people depending upon their situation. And, it's a great way to be able to bridge that gap from one home to the next. And it's really affordable and it's actually a really simple product. So.
Yeah, a lot of people ask about bridge loans and they're sort of a thing of the past, but this is really the new. This is the I was going to say future, but it's the present, is how to strategize around these types of buy before you sell opportunities that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can combine them. So we can turn you into a cash buyer, and then we can use the on deck to go ahead and eliminate the sales contingency from the other one. So when you're making your new offer on your new house, it's that cash backed offer. And we've eliminated the debt because of the on deck offer program. You do have to pay both fees for both of the programs, but it's still very affordable, paid at the closing of your new purchase. And it is a simple, fast process. Now, the Platinum Pre-Approval, right now our turn times on those are about 96 hours. So that's like, what, four business days on it. So like we can't talk to somebody on Friday, take their application and turn a Platinum Pre-Approval by the end of that day to be able to make an offer that weekend. That's just not going to work. Now, we can turn our regular pre-approval, just like, so don't be like, oh, I can't call Lindsay or Bob because, they need a pre-approval fast. No, we can still turn pre-approvals fast. But like, if you want like the steps above, then, it takes a little bit of time. And I have a situation right now where we did that. We submitted the Platinum pre-approval on Thursday, but did the regular pre-approval. And you know what? They made an offer this weekend and it was accepted. And that's wonderful. We didn't need it, but it was in the pipeline because it's like if their offer didn't go right this weekend, then the following weekend we would have it. So all this stuff is
And
about
you don't pay
building
for
layers.
it unless you use
Oh,
it.
you
So
don't?
yeah,
Yeah.
like you were just saying, that's kind of why not just have more tools in your tool belt, really have the whole strategy figured out. And I think that's the whole education piece too, that's so important when we're all having these conversations or when we're looking, maybe back at our databases and shaking the tree a little bit, is just reframing the idea that it's not just like push button get mortgage, right? Like the whole society has kind of gotten so morphed into that idea. And yes, it can be that easy, but what's the loss, right? So people should have the opportunity to at least have a little bit of time to really make this call and go through the strategy and go through the structure and have the opportunity to speak with mortgage experts like Bob and like myself and really work together with great agents like you all that are listening in to figure out how it fits into their overall goals and their overall scenario.
Yeah. So there are like some restrictions on things. I like to have people think about it as like, what are things that are out of our control, right? So it's like, we can't use the cash offer program because we're guaranteeing like the close with it for large condo complexes because we have to get condo questionnaires. We need to get information from the condo association and there could be things from that condo association that make it not lendable. So those aren't things that we do. There is a limited purchase price. It can't be over 1.25 million. We don't do them on short sales and foreclosures. The property condition does matter. So while like the appraised value will never matter on a house, sometimes we'll need to do an appraisal because the loan requires the appraisal. But if the value came in low, we we eat that difference, and we can talk more about that. So like none of that matters, but the condition of the house matters. So don't be sending like rehab properties and things like that. That's not what it's for. It just has to pass a conforming appraisal. Like it doesn't have to be pretty. It just needs to pass a conforming appraisal. So it's for conforming loans only, not FHA loans, not VA loans, but so there are some restrictions, and it's not for everybody. None of these things are for everybody, but they're for a lot of people out there. And they're, like Lindsay said, like they're great tools to have. So
And then we just have some of the cost comparison that Bob, you kind of already touched on this, just how inexpensive the cash offer programs are that we offer and the buy before you sell compared to other services that are about there. Because I know we see lenders talking about these things all over the place. There's certain ones that are really popular, but this partnership that we've established is really, after vetting a ton of them, I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's quick, it's easy, it's inexpensive. And then also, actually, this is, Bob, I don't think you mentioned this on the buy before you sell. They have 6 months to sell their property, but if they don't, there's an option to lease too. So if they get into a bind and they can't sell their property after, which, you don't want this as an agent, obviously you want to go out and sell it, but if they get stuck, then they can just rent it instead and they can get out of that contract. So, again, it makes it a much easier conversation to have than a lot of the other programs that are out there.
Yeah. I mean, the company we work with, they don't want to be buying properties on either side of it. They don't want to be buying your cash, your cash buy, which is why they rely on us to have high quality clients, with it. And then they don't want to be buying your house for, even under market value. It's not their business. Their business is providing this service and just sitting back doing nothing and collecting their like very reasonable fees. So it's actually ingenious. And they're set up to work with you because they don't want to be doing these. That
Really
being
cool
said, these
business
are real
model.
contracts. So like, they do have to follow through on them if it comes to that. But yeah.
So creating opportunity, whether you're a real estate agent listening in, or if a buyer happens to listen to this, or a homeowner, really the goal is just finding the right opportunities and figuring out how to structure everything in the best interest of the homeowners, because a person's mortgage is often their largest debt and the house is often their largest asset. And so we really consider ourselves those debt managers and trying to figure out what's the best way to do this now and also for their future goals. So hopefully this gives everybody an opportunity to just identify certain folks that this may help, especially if there's people that have been really stuck and frustrated. I know a lot of buyers have really felt the difficulty of this market. They're hoping rates come down sooner. They're hoping that there's going to be more inventory. They're getting beat out by cash all the time, or they can't buy because they have a contingency to have to sell. There's these challenges, and all of the tools that we have, we really strive to be able to meet those challenges and find the opportunities for people. We've got a few success stories, happy to share more with you. Really, this has been an awesome partnership so far, and we're excited to keep it moving. So thank you for tuning in. And anyone that wants to do a one-on-one, that wants to actually see the contracts in advance, we're of course available to go over those anytime. You can scan this barcode, schedule a meeting with us, and we can discuss opportunities and how it could work for you. Anything else, Bobby, that we didn't get through?
No, I mean, there's a few little nuances, but those are best for one-to-one conversations, but nothing that's like, this stuff is as easy as it sounds, quite frankly. So
It really is. I shared it on a social media post and sincerely meant that if I was house searching myself right now, 100% I would get pre-approved with the cash offer program. I know I can't be a cash buyer, but I can be pretty much make myself into one using this service. So it's available. It's a great opportunity. And thanks everybody for tuning in. If there's anything that you're running into in this market by way of challenges that you want us to hop on here and talk about, we are always open to new topic ideas, and appreciate everyone continuing to work with us at the Applied Mortgage team at HMA Mortgage. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby. I'm going to
Thank
stop
you.
the recording, and we'll see you soon.
Perfect.